Hello, everyone, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's your favorite girl here, Ella. I'm a final year law student at the University of Birmingham. If you're new here, welcome to the channel. Remember to like, share, subscribe, turn on your notification bell so you get notified whenever I post my videos, and leave us a comment while watching or at the end of the video if you have any questions or comments on your favorite part of today's video. If you are a returning subscriber, thank you so much for riding with me through this journey. Today we have Sabrina here with us today. She has graciously granted us this interview out of her busy schedule. And thank you so much, Sabrina, for agreeing to do this interview with us today.
Thank you, Ella, for having me.
You're welcome. Before we start with the questions, can you just let us know who you are?
Okay, so very briefly, my name is Sabrina. I am also a final year student at the University of Birmingham in the LLB for Grads program. So I've done an undergraduate degree in Canada, like yourself, and I'm through the fast track program of the Grads for an LLB within 2 years.
Okay, that's great. Thank you so much. Sabrina is very unique to this space today in the sense that she was working full-time whilst in first year and also having full-time of law school. So working full-time, having full-time of school. How did you do all of that work simultaneously?
Okay, so thank you for that accreditation. However, I do want to clarify that on our student visa, you are only able to work 20 hours a week while you are in full-time education. So I was doing the 20 hours per week, which was very demanding, to say the least. I think because I had the job, I was living in London for about 1.5 years before I started law school, so I got a bit acclimatized to not only the region, but also the job. It made the transition probably a bit easier, whereas I think if you had obtained your job while, after you had come and started school, it might have been a bit more difficult to be able to manage the two. However, it still was very, very busy. I mean, anyone who's in school in any kind of education can understand that it takes up most of your time, whether it's the lectures, the in-person class, or
we're doing 6 modules too.
Yes,
so that's a full load.
Exactly, because they changed it. They wanted to do the 6 modules full year. It was demanding, and sometimes I would look at my calendar and have everything color coordinated, and I would just think, wow, like this is going to be a very full-on day. So that was kind of the disadvantages of it. But I guess on the advantages side, I think my CV looks quite good now.
It must look really good.
Yeah.
You're the exceptional one that law firms are looking for.
Girl, I wish. I hope. It will.
Trust me, you are.
Yeah, so it's good to obviously have that on my CV. I was working in corporate. I think that is very similar to the qualities that they want in a law firm.
So, was it a law firm as well, or this was a different industry?
It was a different industry.
Okay.
It was within finance and event planning for asset managers.
Okay.
So there was a lot of liaisoning with executives. So just gaining that professional experience, how to speak to them, how to draft an email, how to just be in a corporate environment, I think was very advantageous of that. The money. Who can the deny?
Pounds, not the Canadian dollars.
In pounds, great British pounds.
GBP, very heavy.
Exactly. So that was obviously I'm feeling the stark difference now, not working.
Welcome to our world.
Exactly. I can understand why you want to take the service charge on.
You can understand now. Every penny matters.
Every penny, yes. So it is an adjustment for sure to not have that money coming in, to be able to budget myself correctly, now commuting as well, having to consider the travel costs that come with that. So I think on the financial aspect of it, that has been the adjustment from this year. But on the time aspect of it, it's been really nice to not have to think about 2 different things at the same time. A lot of the times I was sitting in lectures and replying to work emails because...
So this was a remote work system?
Yes.
Okay.
When I was in London, it was hybrid, so I'd be in twice a week. But then once I went to school and they decided to keep me on, they obviously knew that it would have to be fully remote.
Yeah.
But the reality of corporate as well, and still wanting to maintain that reputation that I had built within the firm, was to still take matters, understanding when I still had to reply to them urgently.
Yeah.
Because if we had back-to-back classes on Monday, last year Mondays were really heavy, so I would mostly take Mondays off from work, but that would mean that 3 days would then go by effectively before people would get a reply.
Response.
So even if it is 20 hours, you're only getting paid for 20 hours, but you're
probably doing more than that.
Exactly. So having that time to just focus all of my attention on one area, I think has been really critical for me to do well, to engage with the courses a bit more deeply, and to evaluate them critically in a more nuanced manner.
All right, that's good. Thank you so much for that very, very detailed reply, and for clarifying the bit about immigration for international students and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
That was really great. Would you advise someone, say, watching this video now, who they're thinking of being an international student coming here, would you advise them to take on this similar path of getting a part-time job whilst also going on with your very busy law schedule?
Yeah, so I would think in an ideal world, it would be wonderful if nobody had to take on any sort of work experience within the financial aspect. And I say that for two reasons. One is, if you are coming here as an international student, I know I have a more unique experience that I was already based in London, in England, before I had started at Birmingham. So I was a bit more, I just had more knowledge on how
things worked.
Yeah, I had my national insurance number, which allows me to work. I understood how the tax system works.
We don't even think about that.
Yeah, so there's other to make sure that your employer is not taking advantage of you, things like this. I think that there is some background knowledge that I obviously had coming into it. So from someone that doesn't have that experience at all, coming in and trying to figure that out, trying to apply for a job, and realistically, if it's a part-time job and you're trying to look for something quickly, it's probably going to be service work or retail or it's going to be client facing, right? So I think that anyone who's done that knows how draining it is.
Plus our schedule's not fixed too. So you don't what you're doing this week is totally different from what you're doing next week. So you can't even always tell your employers that, oh my God, on a standstill every Monday I'm available, because you don't know if something might happen eventually.
Yeah. Exactly. No, that's a great point. I think in Canada we were used to a very constant, stagnant schedule, but it's not the same here, unfortunately. So I think that is difficult also to work with your employer and to understand what times you will be working. And in terms of the experience, people might be thinking, well, how is my CV going to look then if I can't get a job? But there's so many wonderful volunteering opportunities, specifically to speaking to your legal experience here. Kepler has so many announcements, doing pro bono work. There's even so many charity organizations. There's one, I don't know if you've heard about it, it's called Support Through Court. And so you are aiding people going through family court, and you're not really giving them legal advice, but just as someone who understands the court process,
the system.
Exactly. And I think that gives you really great exposure to a court setting and what it means to be with a client, the emotional capacity that is involved with that. So I think that if you are only getting the part-time job to get the experience, I would say don't do that. But I know the world that we live in, the fees that we are paying, honey, it's not always realistic. So if you have to, you have to. There's no really way getting around that. But if you are trying to plan your future accordingly,
you have to be realistic.
Yes, definitely. And if you're able to, if you can save up that money beforehand, even just to get you maybe through a year, I would actually recommend, maybe this is controversial, I would recommend working in your first year and taking the second year off, because I've seen a lot of our colleagues do it conversely, where they took the first year off, which makes sense in theory, because you're
that's thinking, your first time coming in.
Exactly. Let me get used to it. But the first year only is weighted 25%, whereas the second year is weighted 75%, and a lot more is expected out of those modules to even get a better mark. And at that point, you kind of you know a bit more about how you should approach coursework, and you're able to really apply that. Whereas first year, I think you're just even trying to figure out what they want from you a bit more. That's my experience, though of course everyone will differ, but I think that is the advantageous part of working in the first year, because a lot of people now I can see in second year, they are scraping the bottom of the funds. Like, it is
your last you don't get those debit alerts. Is it debit or credit? Which one? When you don't get debit alerts anymore. Is it debit? The one that they add funds into your account. What is it called? It is debit, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Credit is when you give someone money. Debit is when you receive money. Okay,
exactly.
Good. I'm trying to remember my accounting class from like high school.
You're really digging that up.
Yeah, I'm trying to sound professional. Also, because I also like stopped work before coming here, so I know what it's like to just see the figures in your account just reduce over time, which is why I say take off the service charge, because your girl don't got no money anymore. But yeah, thank you so much for giving that explanation. I'm sure someone will find it helpful out there. The key takeaway, I think, is from what I hear you say is people should be realistic with what situation they find themselves in and adjust accordingly to whatever that is.
Yes.
Okay. So moving on, how would you say you managed your time? So I know you alluded to looking at your calendars and figuring out where everything goes, but away from now work and school, you had to have a life beyond that. How were you able to manage that time?
I think that, just in a very like logistical manner, I would see the spots that I had to work, like see when I had classes, when I could actually even input my work timetable. And I had a really flexible arrangement with my workplace. So they basically just said, give us your schedule for the month, and that's when you'll work. So I was very lucky with that, and I'm grateful for that, because having to do it any other way, because our schedules were so erratic.
In the hands of the timetabling department.
Yeah.
And things could just get cancelled, like public law seminars.
You've still
I've let go of that. Okay.
But if I'm being honest, I don't think I managed my time in the most efficient manner in first year. I think that I thought it would be a lot more akin to my undergraduate degree in the way that I studied and prepared for it. But looking back on how I managed my time, I think I would have prioritized reading cases over any sort of textbooks or articles more. And if I don't have the time to read the full case, then read the judgment. That is the most significant, because some of these cases are hundreds of pages, even 60 pages. If you have 5 of them to read,
that's a lot.
It's too much. And I've realized that since we're in a common law jurisdiction here, the law is based off the cases. Yeah. So the textbook is essentially telling you what the cases have unfolded as a roadmap. So if you need it to supplement your learning, that is great. However, a lot of us, just by reading the judgments and understanding a good overview of the cases, would have probably been a bit more...
gained a better understanding.
Exactly. Because I think when the lecturer is telling you this is what the law is like, sometimes it doesn't really make the most sense. But when you read the reasoning for the judges, I found that especially in tort law as well, because there's so many contradictions.
Talking about my... Okay.
Trigger!
You're right.
So I think that I managed my time as best as I knew how.
I mean, you're here now.
No, yes, we made it.
That's all that matters at this point. That's all that matters. Okay, that's fair.
But definitely, like, having a social life, I think I left that more to the weekends and just maybe one evening a week. But I think the other evenings I would shut off maybe a bit earlier than I should have. I think I should have utilized my day a bit more. I know after working, you think, now I'm done. But that is the reality of having a job as well, is that this is just your first shift is over.
Yeah.
So it is definitely doable, and it's really not as depressing as that might sound. I think learning the case is actually very interesting, and that's what really, drags you into the process.
Okay, that's good. Good answer. Thank you. Now let's move on to second year now. You're not working, doing that part-time job anymore. So I'm assuming with my knowledge from our discussions that you now obviously have more time for school-related school-related activities.
Yes.
So in terms of, doing pro bono, you're a sequentist project coordinator.
Hey!
Did I pronounce that right?
Yes.
So you're a project coordinator. I'm just a volunteer, so not just, but I got it. But yeah, to be a coordinator, you had to do more application work, and I didn't want to do that. So yeah, you're doing Kepler related activities like debating now. So do you want to talk about that experience and how that is different from your first year where you didn't have the opportunity to do any Kepler related experience just because you were also working part-time?
Yeah, no, that's a great point. I definitely felt like I missed out on a lot of things in first year simply because I had to rush off to work after class or after seminar. So there just simply it just wasn't doable at all.
Yeah.
And I know with a lot of these Kepler events or even the extracurriculars, the advocacy,
It's a time commitment too.
It's a time commitment, but also it's not very... They don't tell you in advance when it will be. You get a week or two maybe before.
A few days.
Honestly, before. Okay, so this is your competition. So you need that flexibility in your schedule to be able to just put everything into this for a couple of days. Where if you've already made your schedule for the month, for the week, which most workplaces will make you do, it's just simply not doable. And I think I was even discouraged from even finding out because I just was already overwhelmed. And I don't think that I would have been able to contribute to my team as well as I would have wanted. But this year, having that opportunity, so I've done the project coordinator for pro bono, and I also did the debating competition. For pro bono, as the project coordinator, I was put into the Sequentis team, which is a fitness to practice program. So we are partnered with a law firm which focuses on fitness to practice, and our specific area was around nurses and midwives. So yes, something that I wouldn't have necessarily chosen for myself.
Yeah.
But it's actually been very interesting. And it's, law is so broad. And there's so many different
areas.
Exactly.
I would never have pro bono midwives.
Yeah.
I would have never thought about it.
Exactly. But I think it's, I just like to experience things from as broad and as range as I possibly can, because I think that even if you don't necessarily want to go into that sector, it teaches you things that you might not necessarily have learned
you would have known about.
Exactly. So I think with this, I was the primary liaison between the student volunteers. So I had about 20 that we were working together, and then so I was liaisoning with them and the lawyer from Sequentis, which is the law firm.
Sequentis is the name of the law firm.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I get it. Okay.
And fitness to practice is basically like the area.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So within the title fitness to practice, within particularly to nurses and midwives, it's basically just a regulator that just makes sure that these healthcare professionals are abiding by the standards that we expect out of them.
Okay.
So if it's not as serious enough as malpractice to go to criminal court, they still want some sort of accountability
consequences for actions.
Exactly.
Okay.
And that is for public policy reasons. You want your nurse to be, an ethical person that is in charge of your health and safety. So that's basically the genesis of the program. And
sorry, just a quick question. So what do the actual volunteers do?
Yeah.
And then did you have the same group, the 20 people you started with? Did anybody drop out? Because there's been a lot of dropping out volunteers.
Yeah.
How was that, being a leader for 20 whole people while also juggling with school?
I think it taught me a lot of valuable lessons. Organization, just communication, how to be thoroughly accurate, and for everyone to understand it via email, understanding when I need to just make a call with them. And that, do you know what, a lot of these students they're not in the grads program. They're 18, 19 years years old. They're not checking their emails. And so deciding that a WhatsApp group is probably the best way to reach out for the little things. And so just little things like that, I think, were quite valuable. I think as I was telling you earlier, I value anyone in a leadership position a lot more. I understand the value in participating and how that is critical to any sort of program working. So I think those are the little things. In terms of what the volunteers actually did, we worked together, although some project coordinators simply just coordinate their groups and they're not involved. But we had one case assigned to us, which was quite hefty in terms of the documentation. There was all in all, probably about 500 pages.
Oh my God.
Yeah, of disclosure we had to go through. But I think it's quite realistic in terms of what being a lawyer is actually about. And I think that this is a very good informative way to teach you if simply you're cut out for
something like that. It's what to expect.
Yeah. Because if you're reading it and you're not getting more interested and more drawn in and trying to see, where are the discrepancies, and it's not always as typical as that, but the baseline is there will be a lot of reading.
Yeah.
And if you're not motivated to do that, I don't know if necessarily this is the career path for you. So we had to go through this disclosure. We'd have weekly meetings with the lawyer, and step by step they would guide us in terms of what have we found, what do we think of the case, how do we want to approach the defense. And so it was very informative in that sense of what it would be like to work at that law firm within that practice area. And I think that the biggest takeaway in terms of the practical element that it taught me is that when you're looking at disclosure, it's not necessarily just about what you see, but it's also what they don't show you, what is missing. And I thought that was very insightful and something that I will bring forward with me.
Moving on.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Thank you for sharing that experience with us. Apart from the long pages of the reading, what are some challenges, would you say? It could be one or two challenges that you've faced whilst in this position, and then we can move on to debating, which is totally different from pro bono.
So you actually brought up one of the challenges. I didn't get to address that, but it was the dropping out. It is the commitment element of it. Everyone is very excited, very engaged at the beginning, very responsive, and then it very slowly dwindles down. And soon you're on these Zoom meetings every week, and nobody has their camera turned on, and so sometimes it is a bit frustrating to have to constantly remind adults who have very voluntarily signed up for this and put in the commitment, and it's a very competitive process to get in.
Because so many people didn't also get in. People who were probably more deserving than the people who dropped out eventually.
Exactly. And so it's not necessarily just about your intelligence, but to be quite frank, that really doesn't mean anything to your project if you're not willing to give it the dedication it requires as well. So I think that was probably one of the biggest challenges, was just to keep everybody focused and engaged and just as excited as they were at the beginning. Yeah.
So nobody dropped out?
One person did officially drop out, but I will say we've just had our last meeting because it's a 6-week program. So on Monday was our last meeting with Sequentis, and I can tell you that only about 4 people were engaged at that point. So,
out of 20?
Yes.
Oh my God.
So officially only one dropped off, but I think if you're looking at dropping off in a multitude of ways, there was many more after that dropped off.
Okay, I see. That's fair. Okay, let's go on to debating, because I'm not doing debating. I didn't do debating in first year too. So how was the application process like for you, and then where are you at with that? Debating is part of the advocacy things that are events. Is it an event? It's not an event.
I would say it's like a competition.
It's a competition, that is run by Kepler here at the law school, and Sabrina got into that.
Yay! Do you know what? I was so excited about debating because I love to argue. Let's just put it.
I know that. So this is where you strengthen your skills.
Yes, and I think that one of the biggest reasons I wanted to do it was not just because of that passionate element, but also one-on-one, informal settings, great fine to talk, but when it's more of like that formal public speaking,
Yeah.
I think that is definitely a skill that I'm working on. So that was one of the main drivers to do it. But the application process was pretty straightforward. It was almost like a small submission of a debate that you would make. So they gave you a motion, you were to argue in the affirmative, so in favor of it, and it was a one-page Oscola referenced.
Maybe I like Oscola now. I don't know. I'm getting better at it.
All right. Yeah.
I actually am.
That's good though. So you're receiving, now that you see the benefits of it.
Yeah, I wouldn't roll my eyes at Oscola anymore.
Do you know what? That is actually a really great progression.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
Took some self-work, but we got there. So that was pretty straightforward. So based on your argument, that's how they decided got in. And then there was one skills training, which was quite helpful. And you almost did like a simulated debate in the skills training. And then our competition was the week after. So on that day, the week after the debate was taking place, and your team was randomly allocated to you.
Oh, it's teamwork, not like you going against another person.
Yeah, it was teams of 3 to 4.
Okay.
So one person actually dropped out of our team. So there
Lots of dropouts
Yes.
in the streets. I don't understand. Like, you spend so much work on an application just to drop out when there are other people that. Anyways, life happens. So let me not be judgmental.
Yes. I mean, life happens, but also some people just don't know what they're signing up for.
That's
but
true.
That's neither here nor there. So we had one person drop out, so that meant that one person had to go twice on our team. I went twice, and then the other team had 4 people. So it was a very short window to prepare for
The competition.
Yes.
Especially if you're using a school of reference, which means
Oh,
that you can't
no.
just. Oh no.
That was just for the application.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But when you're just debating, it's
you don't
all
have to
verbal.
say like according to this person, this.
Yeah. You should cite your source, but it's not. You don't have to do it in a
requirement.
Schola format because
Okay.
imagine saying
It's
close bracket. This is right quotation.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was the whole kind of logistical process of it. And we had our competition on Wednesday. It was great. We unfortunately did not move on to the next round, but
oh no, their loss.
yeah, they're definitely, well, our loss. Technically our loss. But thank you for that.
You're welcome.
But even having said that we didn't move forward, it was really insightful in terms of how to think on your feet, how to be
like, is you essentially a barrister at that point?
yes.
That's what I did the debating. I didn't do it. I tried the application process, but immediately I just saw Oscola. It was like, you want me to go research? It was McDonald's or something. A motion about McDonald's and food. I'm
Yes.
I don't have time for this.
Yeah.
I walked out of the application process. So yeah. Oh my God. Okay.
But having done it, I think it does teach you a lot about how to be constructive in your arguments, how to argue persuasively but still respectfully, and how to properly address each argument they have.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to just have your arguments based off of like these random things that you've
Said,
looked at.
You want to
rebut
what the other person has
exactly.
said. Yeah.
So I think that it was definitely an insightful, and it did take me by surprise a bit when you're actually in it and doing it. But I think those public speaking and just communication lessons I will be able to bring into the legal sector with me.
Okay, that's good. And then how were you judged? Was it just a professor there judging everybody? Okay.
Yeah, so there's 2 professors and they're both the judges.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you went through just one round or 2 rounds?
Just the one, unfortunately.
Just the one round,
We
okay.
did not we did not make it to the next one.
It doesn't matter. It's still on your resume at the end of the day, which is all that matters to me.
Yeah.
And
it was fun.
You get Kepler points too.
Yes.
Which
Those CPD points,
Yeah.
get them
Get the
early.
points,
Get
get
them
them.
early. Because now I'm
they're hard
scrambling.
to get actually.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get it. I just want it to be on my resume, my transcript, because
Yes.
apparently, like, if you do a lot of Kepler events, and there are more events that have more weight. So, for example, competitions and pro bono, they carry more numbers than say attending a 1-hour session that's like 3 points.
Yeah,
So
those 3 points. You think you're getting more. They don't tell you how many you're getting.
No. You receive a random email and you just see the figure in red. I'm like, is this all I did with all the events I attended? Like, just 3 points don't accumulate as quickly, but it's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine.
I think for pro bono, you get quite a bit.
You get more if you're a coordinator. As a volunteer, and it depends on what project you're doing. So, for example, people in flag or people in like research like mine, like everyone's point is different.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, I checked about it recently. And then if you are a coordinator, then you have more points because, I mean, you're doing more work than the volunteers.
Well, I need to get these figures from you because
I'll look for the link and send it to you.
Okay.
But I don't know where I'm at now. I just know I think I was on a 54 in first year, and I need to get to like 100 and something to be on the
You got 54?
bronze. Yeah.
Do you know how much I have?
No, I don't want to know because it's 0.
9. And that's what part-time work can do
what
to you sometimes.
No, but debating
Yeah.
and pro bono would have bumped it up. And like
Yeah.
if you just attend like events or whatever.
Yeah.
I'll send you what the link is. I'll look
Okay,
for it
thank
and then
you.
so you can have an idea. Just so that we can get to the bronze. Because there's bronze, there's silver, and there's one more other like higher achieving point.
I'm going to be realistic with myself, and maybe gold is no longer attainable for me,
No,
but
I'm
I think
looking at bronze.
I think
Yeah.
bronze, I think we can do it.
Just bronze, yeah. I just want to be on the what's it called, transcript. So when I'm
Yeah.
telling people, maybe at interviews or something, that I did extracurricular work, they
Exactly.
actually look at my proof.
And I think that a good way to even make that into transferable skill is the fact that you are willing to continually learn. You love
Yes.
to actually, get more
Putting more in
invested.
theory to practice.
Yeah.
Okay, that works. Well, thank you so much, Sabrina. I don't have any more questions for you, but I'm open to questions if you have for me.
Well, thank you, Ella. These were very insightful and good questions. I think that generated a really nice discussion.
Thanks.
I have one question for you, if that's okay.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, what inspired you to start this channel?
Okay, that's a, we keep saying that's a good question, that's a great question, but that is a great question. To start the channel?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Well, I get a lot of information from YouTube. So, before coming to Birmingham, part of the reasons why I chose the university was because of a video I saw of Paul McConnell and a couple of Canadian students talking about the university and all that. So, after that, I needed to do more research for people who have actually gone to the university or schools in the UK, Canadians, what their experiences were like. And I found a couple of channels, but I noticed that they just had 1 or 2 videos just talking about how they got into the UK.
Yeah.
But nobody continued afterwards.
Yeah.
So I always wondered, why did people just stop? Like this channel, you have videos from 2 years ago. It's 2 years now. You should have graduated. What happened? Come and tell me, like, how did it go? I started watching your
Hit me up.
Let me know if I should do this. And I didn't really find anybody that was doing that. So I decided to be that person. So I vlogged my experience up, from Toronto through the experience and then traveling here. And I made a commitment to myself, whether or not people watched the channel, because obviously as a small channel, I don't expect people to just find me as much, but just I knew that it would be helping people out there, and I wanted it to show a real lifetime experience. Yeah, because I've been through an undergrad degree already. I don't have, apart from Snapchat, which was a thing in that time. I don't know if Snapchat.
Throwback to that.
Throwback to that. But Snapchat videos are not enough to show what my 4-year experience was like. So I wanted to see what that would be like in law school. I knew it was going to be a full-time commitment, and I've always tried to at least upload 1 video every week. That has not always been the case, but it's just a thing of, for international students now, whether you're coming from Canada or anywhere in the world, people have a front row view, virtual view of what it is my experience is like. And I've spoken a lot about my experience, which is why I'm now taking that outside my experience, because I can't experience everything about law school, and interviewing people like Sabrina, who has a different experience, and other people that you would see their interviews as well. So I wanted people who have an idea of wanting to go to law school to see what the actual real-time experience is of a full-time international student at University of Birmingham.
I love
That's
that.
Why.
And you know what? We appreciate that.
Thank you.
I know if I was in the same position, this would be extremely helpful. So thank you for filling in that gap.
You're welcome. Thank you. And the selfish angle, selfish in the sense that it makes me feel good, is that some first years I've actually told me, like they've walked up to me and been like, I've gotten about 3 or 4 people now.
A celebrity in the making!
I just need the views to just add up and, more subscribers. Let's make this bigger.
Start preparing the acceptance speech
I
now,
know.
girl.
I know. And just to hear someone say, your video about you in the bank, and that person must have watched, because you can't just, it's not in the beginning, it's not in the end of the video, it's in the middle of the video. So they have to remember specific things and tell me what helped them, whether it be with banking or finding a place to live, and some people are like, oh, my mom watches you a lot, which is nice. Hello, mom. Hello, moms. And that's also great to see that, because my idea, I actually did not think of parents when I started the channel. It was just students that want to go to uni, and to see that other members of the family, share it to grandparents, everyone that's retired, so that they can watch and add more hours to it.
Any views.
Any views.
Get your dog.
Yeah, your dog. Anyone to just watch. Put it on replay, share, like, and subscribe. Please. And yeah, it's just really, that's the good part of it, that I'm seeing the results, a year later.
That's so rewarding.
Thank you for that question on camera, because people ask me off camera. But yeah, thank you.
No, in writing.
Any other questions for me, or we gotta run to catch that train?
No, let's go get that train.
Okay. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section below. Like, share, subscribe, turn on your notification bell so you get notified whenever I post our videos, and I'll catch you in my next one. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks, Sabrina.